Good morning. Welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Monday again. It is Monday, August the 3rd, and we're here to look at the new releases that are published this week in mysteries, both cozy and the darker side. Hope you had a good weekend. Crazy weather here in Montana. It was 106 on Saturday. Today we are not even probably going to hit 70. But then we're back in the 90s. We'll probably have to break out the parkas today. I joke. Let's see, quick announcements. I don't have any sprints tonight. I don't do them on Monday. Our next sprints are tomorrow night, Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. We do every Tuesday and Thursday evening and Saturday afternoons. Not as many cozies this week. If I remember right, there's about 28. Perhaps last week they said, crap, it's the end of the month already. We were supposed to have these published. Let's see, do I have these? Yes, I do have them in the right order. Okay. Tunes and Traders by J.A. Whiting, fourth in a Snow Creek mystery series. When a customer offers Kelsey Morton a vintage 1987 is vintage, come on now. 87 Night Watch concert t-shirt found at a yard sale, she's thrilled. She's been a devoted fan of the legendary rock band for years, and she asks her best friend Haley Coleman to restore the faded shirt so she can frame it as a treasure. But when Haley touches the fabric, she's hit with a disturbing vision: betrayal, rage, and a snarling voice. The shirt belonged to Dylan Cross, Night Watch's brilliant lead vocalist and songwriter, who died of a heroin overdose in 1987, just before the band was set to sign with a major label and launch to stardom. Haley's psychic gift tells her Dylan's death was no accident. Dylan's son and granddaughter have never believed the overdose story. With Haley and Kelsey's help, they're determined to prove that Dylan was murdered. But someone will do anything to keep his secret buried, even if it means silencing anyone who threatens to expose him. In Snow Creek, some secrets have a soundtrack, and this one has been playing on repeat for far too long. Donna Andrews has a new one. 39th in the Meg Langslow series. Good for her. Meg has finally found time to get some blacksmithing done. What? When a call from her dad interrupts her. Can she come out to Ragnar's right away to help with the horses? Their friend Ragnar Ragnarsson, who is gradually turning the enormous house on his nearby estate into an authentic moated castle, has agreed to shelter nearly 50 horses for Hoof and Hearth, an equine rescue organization that has lost access to the farm where the horses have been living. The owner of the farm recently died without leaving a will, and while his older son Abel would be happy— why would you name your son Abel? Would be happy, like Abel and Cain. Why would you even risk that? Would be happy to let the horses stay. Younger brother George wants to sell to a developer and is suspected of sending a thug to harm the horses as part of his efforts to evict Hoof and Hearth. That night, while Meg and her family are camping at one of Ragnar's barns to keep an eye on the horses, they discover that the thug has been murdered. Unfortunately, George is alibied, but his horse-loving brother Abel is not. Neither are the hot-tempered founder of Hoof and Hearth or the passionately protective ex-jockey who serves as its stablemaster. Meg juggles helping keep the horses safe and doing what she can to help the chief solve the thug's murder. Thug. All the while hoping that the killer won't turn out to be one of the dedicated horse rescuers she has come to like and respect. A Murderer's Guide to Mardi Gras by Ellen Byron, third in the Vintage Cookbook Mysteries. Step 1. Join a killer crew. It's carnival season in New Orleans, and Ricky James Diaz and her friends from Bon Vie are dressing up for Mardi Gras. They've joined the notorious crew of Chew to support Ricky's chef boyfriend Virgil, who is to be crowned this year's king. It's all fun, throws, and over-the-top outfits until the crew's captain is found strangled with his own medallion. Step 2. Survive the festivities. The prime suspect is Ricky's friend, the deceased's wife, who discovered he was cheating on her. It seems a straightforward case, but Ricky isn't so sure. The crew's leader had many enemies, including his mistress, his mistress was an enemy, his crew co-founder who he ousted, and his college friend whose girlfriend he stole. One thing's clear, Ricky's at the center of yet another murder investigation, and if she's not careful, her first Mardi Gras could also be her last. A dot 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 dot. Excuse me. Where There's Smoke by E.J. Copperman, second in the Haunted Paint Store Mysteries. Laura Meehan has her hands full with her paint store, but also another case that she will definitely leave to the police to solve. The Seabreeze Public Library is burning, and it's clear from the beginning that it must be arson. Who would want to burn a library down, and why? Was it a group of moms protesting what they see as inappropriate book content? Maybe it was someone who didn't like a title they lent, or is there something more alarming going on? I vote for that last one. As a library volunteer, Laura simply has to find out, together with her IT-savvy husband, Roy, and her ex-detective father's ghost, real or imagined, still yet to be determined. She stumbles upon a lot of obstacles on her quest to find the truth, and maybe even an arsonist who might strike again. End of that row. A Thief's Folly by Jeannie Dams. 28th in the Dorothy Martin Mysteries. Good job. Dorothy Martin is enjoying a conversation in the garden with her neighbor and best friend Jane Langland when one perfect June afternoon when Jane suddenly has a stroke. Dorothy is devastated when she visits her friend in hospital and discovers that she's unable to speak, yet desperate to tell her something, and is soon convinced there's something valuable hidden in Jane's house. But what is it? A thief targeting the house suggests they've found it first. After identifying Jane's treasured and sadly stolen item, Dorothy is determined to track it down, even if that means embarking on a trip overseas. One thing's for sure, in taking on Dorothy Martin, this thief has made a huge mistake. Death on the Books by Victoria Gilbert, 10th in the Blue Ridge Library Mysteries. When a stranger falls over dead in the Taylorsford Public Library, clutching a crumpled piece of paper inscribed only with the words hen and sapphire, Library Director Amy Muir must once again investigate. Must she? She soon learns that the man is the personal assistant to Warren Sanderson, an art collector and dealer who just happens to be visiting Kurt Kendrick, the godfather of Amy's twins. When the autopsy reveals that the library patron was poisoned, suspicion falls on those who knew him. Mainly Sanderson, his granddaughter Heather, and Kurt. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Amy digs into the contentious relationships between Kurt and the Sandersons. But as it turns out, suspects abound, and when Amy's best friend's boyfriend is implicated, the case becomes even more complicated. Amy's research ties the dead man's note to a lost treasure of the Romanov Empire. Then another person falls victim. With the bodies piling up, Amy knows better than anyone that killers often keep killing until they're caught, and she'll stop at nothing to get to the bottom of this tangled mystery. I like that chair. I would take that chair. Treasures and Treachery in Tenerife by Victoria Tate, 4th in the Treasure Journey Mysteries. Antiques expert Georgina Carey travels to Tenerife in search of lost treasure, but her island adventure takes a deadly turn when a local official is found dead in a historic house. Following a fragment of old sea chart, Georgina and Maltese police officer Jacques Galea trace the story of a shipwrecked captain on the island of Eternal Spring, but their search draws them into a bitter dispute over the future of a period property. The victim was at the center of the controversy, and many people had reason to oppose her. But did one of them kill her? The police believe her death was accidental, but Georgina is not convinced. Can Georgina separate legend from fact and identify who was responsible? A Dish Best Served Dead by Elizabeth Spancraig, 29th in the Myrtle Clover Cozy Mystery Series. When Cora Croft, pillar of the community, drops dead at the neighborhood block party, Myrtle's casserole is Exhibit A, which sadly makes Myrtle a forensic point of interest instead of a detective. It turns out Bradley's most celebrated civic institution spent decades collecting enemies as efficiently as she collected accolades. With her son Red quietly furious, neighbor Irma armed with photographs of gnome-related property damage, and half the town weighing in on her casserole with entirely too much sympathy and not nearly enough surprise, Myrtle has exactly the kind of puzzle she lives for. Now she just needs to convince everyone she's solving it, not responsible for it. End of that row. Well, hello, Catherine. How you doing? She says, hello. Good morning. We're having a quiet morning today, but yet the book news continues. Murder by Nordic Design by A.L. Jensen, third in the Hygge House Cozy Mysteries. Hygge House kicks into high gear for Lakewood's most popular annual event. Minna Halonen and her best friend and business partner Christy Anderson prepare for the onslaught of tourists, while James's crew works to finish their new sauna in time. As part of the fair's planning committee, Elsie buzzes around town while Sophia's social media side hustle is turning into a real job. On the day of the fall fair, Mina invites her guests to christen the newly built sauna, only to be stunned when she discovers the corpse of a carpenter. Ew. A fair's opening has never been so foul. I did read the first one in that series. Did you have a good weekend, Catherine? A Latte of Lies by Simone Steer, 21st in series, Cafe Crimes Cozy Mystery Series. Years ago, Parker Hayes thought she helped catch a killer. Now she's not so sure. Milo Davis has spent years paying for a crime he may not have committed, and Parker's voice is still tangled up in the story that put him away. When a death in Magnolia Grove ties back to the case, Parker starts uncovering witness statements that never surfaced, missing evidence, and secrets some people would rather keep buried. With wits steady at her side, Hazel spinning theories, and Major underfoot, Parker must decide how far she's willing to go to set the record straight, because this time uncovering the truth may cost more than an apology. In Magnolia Grove, some old stories are built on lies. Dog of Secrets by Neil S. Plackey, 23rd in the Golden Retriever Mysteries. When a wealthy couple dies in what appears to be a tragic car accident, Steve Leviton and his Golden Retriever Rochester are drawn into a mystery that reaches far beyond the quiet streets of Stewart's Crossing. The victim's 20-year-old son, Daniel Farahani, I'm saying that wrong, seems more comfortable navigating a post-apocalyptic survival game than facing the devastating reality of his parents' deaths. As Steve helps the young man through his grief, disturbing questions begin to emerge. Was the crash really an accident? Or was someone determined to make sure the Farahanis never reached home? With Rochester's instincts leading the way, Steve and Detective Rick Stemper uncover a conspiracy involving hidden identities, international intrigue, and secrets someone is willing to kill to protect. Murder with a Gluten-Free Churro by Christy T. Dixon. 13th in the Ivy Clark Mysteries. Giant bugs, jungle tours, and a killer. When Ivy Clark and her friends agree to go on a cruise with Opal, they aren't expecting pirates, gluten-free food, and murder. Ivy is determined to relax and enjoy her vacation, right up until a man dressed as a pirate gets stabbed outside her suite. Now she's dealing with suspicious crew members, stolen antiques, jungle excursions filled with poisonous plants, sunburn that refuses to quit, and Boyd running around with a machete. With too many suspects on board and nowhere for a killer to escape, Ivy will have to untangle the truth before the cruise reaches its final port, assuming the bugs and pirate chaos don't get to her first. End of that road. We are zipping through these. The Carrot Marmalade Murder by Meg Benjamin, 7th in A Luscious Delights Mystery. Roxy and Nate are finally getting married, but murder wasn't on the program. In the midst of her wedding prep, Roxy has to deal with Nate's troublemaking ex, who thinks she can rekindle their romance. But things get serious when the ex ends up dead in a Shavano back alley. Now Roxy needs to clear Nate's name, sell her customers on her carrot marmalade, find herself a wedding dress. All before it's time to take a deep breath and confront her own wedding jitters. Secrets Never Lie by Susan Bowles, 1st in the Pickwick Bend Murder Club. In the quiet lakeside town of Pickwick Bend, Tennessee, a Memphis weekender is found dead inside her gated Magnolia Shores vacation home. At first, it looks like a tragedy best left to the authorities. But what begins as curiosity for the local crime-loving book club turns dangerous when they discover what the victim was really doing in Pickwick Bend. Digging into old deeds, buried bloodlines, and a secret that could cost a powerful family everything. As gossip spreads and documents vanish, Shelby Ray, Trixie, Janelle, and Curtis face escalating danger, a suspicious fire, missing records, and a chilling attempt to silence one of them inside the one place she should be safe. Now the Pickwick Bend Murder Club is racing to uncover the truth before someone closes ranks for good, because in a sleepy small town, secrets never lie. Title card. Of Devotion and Death by Anastasia Hastings, 1st in the Dear Miss Hermione Mysteries. This is Victorian. Violet Manville knows everything about manners and murder. Violet is looking forward to taking some time away from the advice column she writes under the nom de plume Miss Hermione. She can't wait to head off to Venice to spend some time with Eli Marsh, a mysterious, annoying, and extremely attractive American. Little does she suspect that the specter of death will come calling at her front door in the person of Ash Kumar, a man she once knew and loved when she lived in India. She certainly doesn't expect Ash to be arrested for his wife's murder on her front doorstep. As Violet tries to unravel the murder, she's pulled between, they have the word between here twice, the two men. As the past and present become blurred, she soon discovers that the truth can be deadly. The Seafarer's Last Script by Edith Ellis, 7th in the Haunted Echo Point Mysteries. When a leather-bound manuscript turns up on the counter of the Salt and Quill with no note and no owner, a bookshop keeper Luna Brooke assumes it's a festival prank. Then a woman claiming to be a Quinn walks in and demands it back. The manuscript is signed by a poet who died in 1911. The date inside doesn't match. Neither does the second name hidden beneath his. When a local historian turns up dead on the pier, Luna and her dry-witted cat Whiskers are pulled into a search that runs from a sealed chamber inside the lighthouse to a grave in the old cemetery that was never meant to be found. At the center of it all is a woman named Eleanor Rowe, erased from every record Echo Point kept and remembered by no one who was supposed to forget her. Somebody has spent 100 years making sure Eleanor's story stayed buried. Luna is about to make sure it doesn't. We almost made it through a day without a talking animal. But no. End of that row. We will stop there. The bell's about to ring, and it's a nice place to remember where we were. There's not very many. Well, I guess there's a few more. That we'll look at on Friday. Our next morning show is on Wednesday. We'll look at the darker side, the crime fiction, thrillers, police procedurals, private eyes, and things like that, the professionals. Hope you have a good Monday. Be safe. Read books you want to read. Take care of yourselves, please. And as the banner is about to say, and as the banner says, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom nom nom. Have a good day. God bless.